online Discord, by the way, and it started because this like younger mom posted a video of her and her friends, like younger kids, like toddlers, screaming in a restaurant, and like recorded everybody else around them, and were like, "You're entitled to a child-free life, not a child-free world." And it's like they're laughing at their kids screaming in fucking public, and it's like, no, dude, people are entitled to you not having your toddler scream. Like if a toddler screams, that's fine, but if you're sitting there recording it, laughing, you're not parenting. You're just raising a monster. Like that kid's not gonna have it. Like,
They think it's like tough love too. They're like, "Oh, I'm just gonna let him scream." Then it's like, no.
but it's also like, don't go to a
You're-
restaurant. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like, it's not like my parents beat me or any of that shit. But they told me if like we're gonna go to restaurants, you're gonna be behaved in a restaurant. And I never screamed in a fucking restaurant. Like you're letting your toddlers sit there and scream on the top of their lungs. And half the people in the video had kids in the like frame. Like there was like one lady who's like had like a baby, like a younger kid, like not much younger than these people's kid. And they're like, once her kid's that age, they'll understand. And I was like thinking like, oh, everybody thinks this is insane. And it's literally split. There's something about millennial parents. Most of them are terrible parents, by the way. They're not
Yeah.
good parents, millennials.
I think it goes beyond. I agree, but I think it goes beyond just the millennial generation.
Not well. I don't think most people are good parents, but I'm saying especially like because the discourse is like, well, they're kids. Like, what are they gonna do? And it's like, yeah, but you teach them like when you can be like, because then like when they're adults, they'll never know when the appropriate time is to be fucking rowdy and have fun. And hey, I'm at a restaurant. No one wants to hear me fucking screaming in a restaurant. Like that's the thing. Like you I don't know if millennials like were overparented by Gen X or the boomers, whatever the
I
fuck
mean,
their parents.
we're millennials basically.
Well, we're Zillennials.
If I recall correctly, I think I could be wrong here, so don't quote me on this, but I think you're right. I think the boomer generation or whatever, they became the helicopter parents.
Well, they were also terrible parents. I genuinely don't think there has been a good parenting generation in America since the Great Depression. But like millennials especially, like when most of them talk, it's like more like they're trying to be friends with their kid, which I don't think is a problem, but like there's like times where I'm like, just because you chose to have kids doesn't mean society needs to deal with your bad kids. Like I understand like they almost feel like, oh well, we had kids, it's not our fault you didn't have kids, because like half their generation hasn't had kids.
Who was the guy on Full House? The dad's name, Tanner.
I don't know, I didn't watch Full House.
Well, they're all. I feel like all millennials are trying to be like that dad, where he's like, at the end of the day, has like a heart to heart and like solves the whole issue. But kids aren't the Olsen twins. Like they're not gonna get that.
Yeah.
Like, they need a little more
Also, it's not even
yard
that.
work. A little.
It's not even that. It's just like you can have a heart to heart with your kid, but when they start yelling in the restaurant, don't record it, post to TikTok, cover your mouths and laugh, and not parent your kid, and then be like, "Well, you're not entitled to quiet." And that's huge on like travel
are.
channels too. There's like a ton of family travel channels, and they'll like their kids will be screaming on a plane. And like people will clearly be annoyed, and they're like, "Look at this asshole being annoyed." Like kids can be kids. It's like they're on a fucking 8-hour flight to fucking Barcelona. They don't want to hear your kids screaming and banging their seat. You're not a good parent. Like just because you're taking your kid to Barcelona doesn't mean you're a good. You're so chill, dude. But your kid sucks, and they're gonna end up murdering squirrels or something weird. Because you're not gonna set boundaries. You're gonna let your kid be a fucking nightmare. And it's not. And we've said this a million times. And we told you to get out of the cities and buy property, and you guys haven't. But you guys, like, you're not entitled to just like. I understand you could, like, your life's not over when you have kids. But like, just because you're going to Mexico and having margaritas doesn't mean your kids can like just be fucking wild. Like you're still a parent for that weekend if you're bringing your kid. They should be behaved on a plane. No one wants a kid screaming on the plane. And just because you have kids, like, oh, you don't get it. You don't have kids. But it's like, yeah, dude. But if I had a kid, I'd make sure his fucking ass wasn't screaming, or he'd be sitting in the back of the plane with the fucking flight attendants in the gulag. They're not fucking screaming and banging people's seats. And yes, I'm entitled to a fucking child-free life. Like, if I don't have kids, I don't want your kid fucking yelling at me. Or I don't want your kid around when I'm at a bar. Like, these millennials don't understand where people's, like, boundaries are. And it's, we don't care about your kids. How many times do I got to say it? And none of these people learn.
I was a shitty kid, and like
I
didn't go
wasn't a
anywhere.
shitty kid. I'm a shitty adult.
I was a shitty kid.
I'm a shitty adult. But guess what? Like, it's because I'm making up for the time I wasn't shitty as a kid. If you're at a fucking restaurant, we
we
paid
didn't get
$30
we
for
didn't
steak
get to go
tips
to
tonight.
restaurants. We didn't get to travel. Because
I went to
we
restaurants.
barely got to go to church every Sunday.
I didn't
we
go-
would say something.
I didn't go on planes, really, when I was a kid. But when I did, I didn't fucking talk. Like, I hate to say it, just because they're kids, guess what public should be? Not you being rambunctious. No one wants to deal with your bullshit, whether you're fucking 2 years old or 70. No one wants to hear you. You're on the train. No one wants to hear your conversation. No one wants to hear your music. No one wants to smell your food. You sit on the train until you go to where you're supposed to be going. That's it. And because you guys think you can have fun on a train when you're a kid, now you're fucking playing music on a train. No one wants to hear that. And it's because no one is parenting these people. You need to be parented. Guess what? No one in public. Japan has this one thing right. They like sniff panties and they ooh, but they fucking don't talk in the train. No one wants to hear you in public. If you want to talk, get a fucking car. Even when you're in an Uber, I don't want to talk when I'm in an Uber because this guy's driving around us for $15, driving around Manhattan. He doesn't want to hear us talking about fucking TikTok. He doesn't want to hear it. Don't talk. Public is not where you talk. Privacy is where you talk. And then you post it online for people to hear you when they want to. I'm not on the train screaming about millennials being bad parents. Know your time to talk. And it's because you guys think like, oh, my parents yelled at me and made me do chores. Guess what? You still suck, but like now your kid's going to be worse. Now your kid's going to like fucking cause havoc in public because they think they can do whatever the fuck they want. Because they're not going to learn consequences, and you're bad parents. Stop bringing your kids to bars. I don't want to fucking see it. Goddamn, bringing them to breweries. Enough of this. And I was in a restaurant the other day with a fucking chihuahua in there. I don't want to be eating around your fucking chihuahua. Don't bring your dog places.
We've been saying this.
Nothing annoys me more than people who think like we were in a store and this lady came in and she was so rude. And she walked in with her big-ass dog into a perfume store. What are you doing? Who do you think you are? Are you God? No one wants your fucking dog around. Be a human being. What are you doing in public? Like, if you get a dog, man, walk it in the morning and then do your errands after. This dog doesn't need to be in a perfume store. I don't want to be near your dog. Ever. Like what don't people get? No one likes being in public. Do you think I like being on the fucking Q train with a guy who almost fell on me who had scabies and shit all over him? You think I like that? No. You know what I definitely don't like? You fucking yapping. Shut the fuck up on a train, paying $3 to be around homeless people screaming at me, and then I gotta listen to you screaming about fucking whatever. Who cares? Shut up.
Just be grateful you didn't get stabbed.
Yeah, be grateful I don't get stabbed. Stop fucking bringing your dog everywhere. Like, no one wants to. Like, that's the thing that bothers me in the city. I got, like, fucking lick attacked by a Great Dane, and it was cute. I like dogs. I'm not an anti-dog person.
You have a Zach Bryan story with a dog, too.
Yeah, Zach Bryan's dog almost pissed on me because he couldn't control his fucking dog. Just like he can't control his temper, and that's why no one likes him. He fucking comes. He's tiny, by the way, a tiny man.
Is he really?
He's tiny, dude. I didn't even notice it was a human being there. I was
Like tiny,
walking
is
down
he,
the
like,
street in the
short?
West
I always thought
Village.
he was short.
I was walking down the street in the West Village, and I wasn't even looking. And the guy goes like, "Oh, sorry, boss," because the dog started pissing like at the base of my shoes, and I had to kind of like juke him. And I was like, "Oh yeah, no problem." And Brooklyn was like, "Do you know who that was?" And I'm like, "No, I have no idea. Like, I didn't look at him." And she's like, "That was Zach Bryan."
He's not 5'10".
He's not 5'10".
How tall
I
is he?
towered over him. There's no way he's 5'10". He's probably 5'6". And the girl he was with was a smoke. And Brooklyn's like, that's the only reason I noticed. I was like, oh, that girl's hot. Like, why is this girl with this guy? And then I looked down, and it was Zach Bryan.
Here's the thing. I'm trying really hard to not let the traditional extremist views come through here. But I will say this. Like, the parenting thing is just a symptom of fucking... If I'm going to go with a nihilist point of view, society just going down the tubes.
It's
like,
not.
look,
No, it's not even
like,
that.
look, it's like, as someone who is not a parent, but like does look forward to having a lot of kids, right?
He'll be
And
in a cage.
someone I think like is pretty like I'm pretty self-reflective on my own childhood and how that upbringing was and like the influence it had on my development and this, that, and the other thing. Like, look, I'm not going to broad stroke say like, oh, like it's so simple like that. Like it's not. But at the end of the day, like it ties back to like, number one, if you're a parent and you don't have if you don't have yourself figured out and your own behavior and this and that, and the other thing, how are you possibly going to like influence and like raise a child in the right way? And then secondly, you know, if your for lack of a term, like world, like whatever, if it's not rooted, and I don't want to use the term traditional values because that, again, that gets a bad rap, but like you have to have a value system of what's right and what's wrong. You have to, for example, like if you're in a restaurant, right, you have to have a basic understanding, and not just an understanding, but a value of like respect for other people. And if you don't have that, you're not passing that on to your kids. And so like that's when you end up with these people that are like, oh, you're in a restaurant, your kids are like screaming and this, that, and the other thing, and you just expect everyone to put up with it. It's like, well, no, because it's not. It's honestly, you're doing a disservice to your children, right? But yeah, I mean, look, like even like where we used to work, you could tell the difference between the kids that behaved a certain way and maybe on what you consider in a good way, and the kids that didn't behave in such a good way. And then you saw the parents, and you'd be like, okay, that makes sense. You know, it's not like you give rocket science.
You give like society way too much credit in the sense that like you think it's like, oh, like it's a society. The thing is millennial parents especially think they're cool, and they're fucking not. You guys are losers. And I'm not even saying we're cool. Guess what, Gen Z, all you young people who listen to this podcast, you're not cool either. But you know who isn't cool? Fucking millennials, dude. Millennials are so lame, and they think they're cool, so they pass on to their, like, oh, I'm the parent who brings my kid to a brewery. Like, you're not cool, dude. You're a fucking loser, and you should stop wearing band tees. You're 40 years old. Put a fucking golf shirt on.
Yeah, I mean,
there's something about a 40-year-old man, and there's people in my office who do it, who are wearing like a snapback hat, and you're 40 years old. It's over, man. Your life is done in the sense that you're an adult now. Act like an adult. Like, the problem is millennials think they're cool, so they parent their kids like they're cool, and they're not cool, and you're parenting your kids, and you're just trying to be cool, and no one likes the person who's trying to be cool. Even your kids can sense that you're a fucking dweeb. Like, you collect Legos, dude, or whatever the fuck millennial parents do, and you drink IPAs. You're a loser.
Yeah, I mean, again,
you thought
bacon
memes were cool. You're a fucking loser.
I think it ties back to a lack of traditional values. And to
it's nothing about that. They're just
look,
losers.
I'm expanding upon this point. Like, it's again because that's like very generalized, and like I'm not going to go down the whole road of like, especially if somebody's listening, they're like, "Oh, what does that mean? Like, what does it mean to have tradition?" Like,
people
I'm not going down that road. But like, what people like, especially
podcast.
like the millennial generation, what people think is cool. You know, even like what I thought was cool when I was fucking 18, 19, 20 years old is not fucking cool.
But the problem
like,
is traditional
like, what's
people.
cool as an adult, right, is like having your shit together, like being a good
no,
person.
but that's also not
like,
cool. That's also fucking lame.
It means get up at 4
I don't think it's,
a.m.
I don't think it's lame at all.
It's all lame.
Like, having
at the end of the
objective
day,
goals.
your parent needs
like,
to. You know what your parent really should be teaching you? That life sucks, man.
Rubbing
That's what your
banana
parents
on
should be
your
teaching you.
face.
Is that guess what? Life is not a fucking movie. You wake up and you do Excel from fucking 9 o'clock to 5 o'clock. You don't make enough money, and eggs are $12. That's what your parents should be teaching you. They shouldn't be teaching you traditional values. They shouldn't be teaching you traditional values because that shit was lame. And then you end up with fucking people with different colored water fountains. That's not good. And then you fucking aren't traditional.
That's not what traditional values
no,
means.
Well, that's what it boils down to because people have no fucking limits. Because if we do like traditional values where we pretend like we're the 1950s America, where we go down to the
that's why I said okay.
We go down to the store and drink Coca-Cola.
I'm not talking about 1950s America. I'm talking about having like traditional values, as in like morals, like an objective sense of what is right and wrong.
I'm not even talking about the morals. I'm just talking about like it's the problem with the world is we cannot fucking ever be in the middle. We're gonna go like, oh, traditional values. We have these morals, blah blah blah. Next thing you know, we got all these fucking people who are like, we can't, like, people, any idea is lame, and we're going to hit our wives because the casserole is cold. There's no limits. And then if you completely reverse
I don't
you
agree
completely
with that at all.
reverse that, now we got millennials who are making
I think that's
Legos.
objectively wrong.
When they're making Legos at 40 years old and drinking IPAs and wearing a fucking beanie and thinking that not caring about your job is cool. There's no limits, and that's the problem. And you know what I can tell you is that
Well, look, dude, if you're 40 years old and you're drinking IPAs and playing with Legos, like what you're doing is you're abdicating your responsibility
but like, what
as
are
a
you
parent
supposed
and
to
as
do?
an adult.
That's
What
my
are you supposed
argument.
to like? Okay,
That's
well,
my argument against it.
all right,
I think
here.
you can play
What you're
with the
supposed to do.
Legos.
What you're supposed to do, and this is my personal opinion. It's like, look, everyone, even us at our age, everyone thinks they got it figured out. Everyone thinks they got it figured out at 18, and then you get to 28 and you're like, yeah, I got it figured out. And then you get to 38 and you're like, yeah, I got it figured out. But what the research shows is like, look, like when you look at the majority of your life, it's like, okay, 18 and then you're in your 20s, then you're in your 30s, and then what do most people do? They get married, they have kids, and it's like, well, what is the majority
Kill
of your life?
themselves.
What is it spent doing? It's the majority of your life is spent
Sleeping.
in marriage, raising children, and then you have those children have children, and then you become a grandparent. And so it's like, what is, aside from your individual career, like what's the most impactful thing you can do in the world?
Putting a
Is
gun
like
in your mouth and
raise
painting
like
the wall.
well-rounded, developed, competent, good children that are going to go on and do their own things. Like, you know, if you're
You
gonna
know
go,
what sucks though, dude, is like I feel like my sister and I are pretty competent, like adult children, and I feel like if I was my parents and I looked at me, I'd be like, damn, this kind of
Well, I mean,
sucks.
it's
Like, unless
kinda-
your kid
it's
is popping their
unique, though.
pussy on OnlyFans or
You can't
dunking
use,
a basketball,
well, that's
like, it's like,
what,
what's
I
the
can't
wor-
stand
what's
that.
the
Like, it makes me sick to my stomach when I see
You can't use
that.
our parents as an
Degeneracy.
example because
Dude, that's called
because
entrepreneurship.
we're the first generation that we're not going to do much better than our parents.
I think we're gonna
But
do
like every other
significantly
generation
worse.
since like World War II has been doing better than their parents.
It's so annoying
So
because
our
like
so our boomer parents are the first ones that really have to, not the first ones, but like the first ones in mass have to reckon with that.
And it's also
as far
it's
as
also funny
self-development,
too
too.
because they're like the boomer, like our grandparents and then like our parents' age is like the first elders in human history where people are like, I could find out what you're saying is a lie immediately. Like, you just respect your elders because they had stories, but now we know all their stories are bullshit. You didn't walk up to school 4 miles of the fucking up of the fucking uphill both ways in the snow. I know you didn't. It was a temperate winter that winter. There wasn't that much snow. But it's
Blizzard
just
of 78.
yeah.
You didn't go to school. I know they didn't.
Yeah. You guys
Yeah.
canceled.
78.
But at the
think-
end of the day, is I just feel like with millennial parents circling back is that just because you decided to not flush your kid doesn't mean that I have to listen to someone screaming in a restaurant. And what do you like? The problem is as a bystander, you can't say anything. It's like when the homeless guy almost fell on me on the train. He was like walking up and down the train cars, and we like went around a corner, and he caught himself before he fell and like hugged me. And I was thinking about it, and it's like realistically, I should be able to beat this man on this train for fucking touch me, and clearly not washing his clothes for 6 weeks. But I can't. And it's kind of like millennial parents. Like, I should be able to yell at you and be like, you're a fucking bad parent.